This meeting is a meeting of Board of Education, a public for the purpose of conducting the school district's business, and it's not to be considered a public community meeting. Call this meeting to order. Join me to say and pledge allegiance.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Now, reading of the mission and vision. Our mission is to foster academic and social growth for each student in a safe, supportive school environment. Our vision is to be a learning community that inspires our students and staff to think critically, grow intellectually, and live with integrity. Just occurred to me, we could rotate to read some. If anybody wants to read it next month, we can sign up and have a rotation. What do you know? Everybody else's idea like 6 months ago, I catch up eventually. There we go. Any additions to the agenda?
I think mine made it in.
Okay. Motion for approval of the agenda? So moved.
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Okay, motion passes. The motion for approval of minutes of the regular meeting of May 16th, the special meeting of May 31st, and the special meeting of June 14th.
I'll move. Second.
All in favor, indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Okay, that motion passes. There's no public address tonight.
Should we make an announcement about Eddie, that he's allowed to vote?
Go ahead.
Just so, well,
Alright.
just so people know that the state allows Zoom attendees to board meetings, and Eddie is allowed to vote in this meeting. So
Till June 30th, they extended it.
Thanks,
Just
Jamie.
it's the Eddie travel clause, we like to refer to it, at Finneytown local school district. Okay,
Glad to be able to be here and still participate.
okay. Need a motion to go into executive session.
so move.
Roll call vote on that, please, Mr. Alverio.
Ms. McMullen,
Yes.
Mr. Ray,
Yes.
Mr. Reed,
Yes.
Mr. Gast,
Yes,
Ms. Lee.
Yes.
okay, we're in executive session. So how are we gonna bring, in Eddie and
I got it. I'm gonna get my laptop.
gotcha.
Thank you, guys. I appreciate it.
For those of you that are still online watching, we're going to keep the stream live in this room. I am going to turn down the microphone. But as soon as they return from executive session, we will resume that. And then the recording will still be available on YouTube like it has been for the last several months.
The administrative report.
So we're gonna start the administrative report. Eric and Grant are gonna share some updates on things they're working on for engaged community.
We have them stay there. Or do you want them to come over here? See the website. Would you guys like to come up closer, or you guys can see the website from there?
I think I'd like to be closer.
Okay. And I'll attempt to rotate this. I apologize for the noise.
See our reaction.
All right. And then we'll screen share so you can see what we're doing. Let me make sure. Let's do this a little bit. Yeah, absolutely.
Thank you. I'm here. I can see you.
Well, I'm Eric Muchmore, Communications and Community Coordinator. Grant's presenting alongside of me because he has worked very hard on the website. We want to be sure to share that with you. And thank you for giving us this opportunity. So talk about the approach this year that I've personally taken is to build partnerships that would lead to opportunities for all community members' voices to be heard and amplified. Our students, our staff, community members, everybody, and get people into conversations with one another rather than being communicated at And so I want to talk about 3 specific projects that I'm proud of that represent that approach. But first, I'm going to let Grant share the new website.
All right, well, we just really wanted to kind of share this. This has been working on behind the scenes for a good chunk of the year. This has been a really collaborative process with not only our staff internal, but community members. So, Zach Vanderveen, he is one of our guys behind the scenes in our community who's super techie. And him and I have been working on this. He's been our webmaster for a while at Finneytown. And so this is our new iteration of the site. And then I've met with probably at least 20 different community members, alumni, getting feedback and processing through how do we make the site more user-friendly. So really the biggest thing that we wanted to do with the site is really champion our kids and make it very easy for community members and parents to find information. So that's really kind of the whole design, is to try and make it, try and communicate what we need to communicate, as well as keeping it very clean. So really nice kind of drop down menus. This is called a mega menu, and they kind of pop open like this. Really easy to kind of get into our support organizations and find those things, as well as find whatever else they may be wanting to locate. All of our board information, if you need to find treasurer and finances, those are all linked in here, and allows you to quickly navigate through things. Mr. Warmack and I spent quite a bit of time getting this all laid out so that people can kind of come in and find everything they need to, including our online tickets, as well as our spiritware shop, which is pretty cool. So, and there will be eventually some throwback logos. So we're hoping to have not only our new logo that came out this year, but also our kind of more traditional Finney Cat, as well as Brent Whitaker and Cottonwood logos still available for people. The calendar. So one is the PDF that kind of gives you like the overview, for the year, and then our FMX calendar, which is really more for like scheduling events. One of the things I did try and do on our homepage is make the calendar events a lot easier for people. So we have kind of an integration with our FMX calendar, where you can quickly find major upcoming events. So not everything is curated on the homepage. This is just a selection. So all new directory, making it a lot easier to locate whoever you may be trying to communicate with. I just realized that I may not have, sorry about this. I could really do better at this game. Sorry about that. New database. So, and this will get updated. Right now, we just don't have any elementaries up there because we haven't shifted everybody's roles yet. So that will happen next month. But it's super easy to kind of come in, as well as eventually you can filter and search. So should hopefully make that a lot easier. Whole new enrollment employment page. This is something that we spent a lot of time on as a team, district office team, and leadership team this year, is our hiring practices. And so we really tried to capture kind of who we are trying to attract to Finneytown. New enrollment page, trying to capture who we are about, as well as how to, people sign up their child. A whole new news page where we curate not only our current events, but also all of our archive posts. So if you're ever looking for anything historical, it's there, at least from the last year. And then we have our 2 school pages, and this is kind of just as a easy place to find whatever it is that you may need. So you have all of your campus links up on the right-hand side. So whatever you're trying to find, you can quickly click on it. You're looking for supply lists for 22, 23. There they are for the entire district, and you can click into them and see what's going on. So that's kind of the basic overview. We tried to integrate everything that we have going on as a district in our community organizations, as well as our social media pages, to really make it into a pretty seamless product for our community. And we know it's something that we're going to be investing time in each week to maintain and keep fresh. But this was our first go around, so.
Questions, like, this is great, I love it. We've got like the podcasts with the kids and stuff like that. Have we got any thoughts, ideas in terms of maybe having some of the older high school students with kind of website applications and maybe some hands-on
Oh, helping
to
with
work with this in order to, or even a student section where obviously content wouldn't just be free range, but an opportunity for some students to get the skills going into college, or to have skills for those that aren't going to college, maybe something to go on a resume that they help with a website or something like that.
we don't, as of right now. We do have a new graphics class that's going to be coming to secondary campus next year. And we have our global media class that Mr. Muchmore is going to share a little bit about what they've been working on this year. But we know that this is, a stepping stone. This is, you really see like the website is one of those places that connects people. And so depending on what we end up having, in terms of student programs, definitely can see that, things are linked in and take you out to places just like they do now for, some of our bigger things like our FinCat news and even as you scroll down into our podcasts and things like that. All right.
Thanks, Grant.
Yeah, absolutely.
I'm glad you asked that question, because I'm gonna talk about some of the impact that the partnerships I've made have given students the chance to learn unique skills and create opportunities for them into the future. So first is the partnership that we created with Tim Krause. And so Peter Block, who is a Cincinnati author, famous consultant globally for his work in that field. We got connected to Peter Block through Dan Joyner, who I think he presented at the board meeting in the PAC. And so Dan has been communicating about our work here with restorative practices and the way we lead to Peter. And he took a great interest in what we're trying to accomplish here. And so he wanted to be involved too, because our work embodies what he's all about. So he reached out to me asking if we could meet to talk about a potential documentary being done here on restorative practices and our implementation of that. And so Tim, when we first gathered with him, he was very excited. And I worked with him to not only produce a documentary, but to also consult with Mike Rosa, who was in his first year teaching global media. And so that partnership with Tim through Peter led to many great things. So Tim worked with Mike in the classroom weekly, and he also worked closely with two students, Saeed Juhar and Desiree Richard, met with them at Panera over the weekend and really trained them on editing, photo techniques, video techniques, and really developed their skills with his partnership. Not only that, the class, the global media class, because Tim, he knows tech. He worked for PBS. He's done a lot of documentary work. That global media class really took off, and he built a great relationship with us. We met weekly, and he collaborated with Mike weekly, and that resulted in FinCat News. I don't know if any of you had a chance to see some of those episodes, but those are all student produced, designed, edited. All of it is done by the students through that class. And one thing I do want to share, and I'm sure most have seen it, but we can watch it again because it feels good, is the video they made that says "We are Finneytown." They called it a hype video. But this production, I think, just speaks to the skills that our students have been able to develop as a result of it, all that work to build that partnership. Have any of you seen it?
Yeah.
Can we watch it again?
Sure.
Kind of get up to this pump sound. So.
Well, who are we? We are the designers of Finneytown's destiny. We write the story of life here at Finneytown. No one else can be the author of this story except for the people between these walls. What story do we want to tell?
Feeding We have nothing on. Sorry. I muted this on purpose. My apologies.
And the fact that the students did it all. And that's from a semester class that is in its first year. And so that partnership that we established with Tim through Peter has had a tremendous impact on, I think, on the culture of the school and definitely the students, and they're feeling that they have a voice and they can tell their stories while simultaneously getting those skills that will carry them into the future as well. And so that documentary that Tim is working on, I talked with him last week. He's in the, he's at the very end of the post-production. So we'll be seeing that soon as well. And I'm excited to share that with community and get our story out there. But that documentary, through that connection with Tim, led to another partnership that has just started. So Tim reported back to Peter Block, the author, who's helping to fund this. And he was so impressed with the stories we were communicating back to him. He put us in touch with the Dean of Continuing Education at the International Institute of Historic Practices, which is in Bethlehem, Pennsylvania. And it's a graduate school. And she does trainings for schools all across the nation. And so I met with her this past Friday for the second time. And she and I talked about how we can form a partnership that's mutually beneficial into the future. And we explored how she could use the documentary that we're producing in her trainings that she does at districts across the country. And then she also is asking that we be a model district that other school districts looking to implement restorative practices could reach out to, and we can consult with them, like share our story and what we've learned. So, and that's been exciting to be in those conversations and to have the potential to kind of be leaders in the world of restorative practices. And I know locally schools have reached out to us to come visit, to see what we're doing, and to learn from us. And so those partnerships that are kind of behind the scenes have a tremendous impact on the students, the community, and I think well into the future they will as well. So that leads me to the last thing that I'll share, and that's the podcast. Pretty excited about that, no doubt. Mike Kennedy and I are the hosts of that. And our mission through the podcast is to share stories, to get people into conversation, to amplify everyone's voice in the community, give a platform for people to come on and speak from the heart, and to celebrate the successes they've had. So we do the podcast, which is, typical podcast format, but Mike and I also we're going to continue to work to produce audio news stories. So if you listen to NPR, they have those, like 5-6 minute stories where they mix in interviews and real audio from an actual event. So we did that. We partnered with Lauren Henline to go into her global cafe, which was the culminating project for her PBL experience. And it was in here. She had the room set up like a cafe. Parents donated food. Maggie, you brought food in for that, I believe.
Butterbraid.
And it was a hit. It was a hit.
Brady said he didn't get any.
He did.
There you go.
But it was a really neat experience to capture and document through this style. Every single nationality in our school was represented, and it was her French class interviewing students whose native language is not English and their experience here at Finneytown. And so I walked around the room with a microphone and just simply recorded the conversations. And then Mike and I put together this story. So we won't listen to the whole thing, but I would like to share can you put it to 3 minutes and 48 seconds? Yep.
Finneytown Local School District is the fourth most diverse school district in the state of Ohio. Finneytown's French teacher, Miss Henline, challenged her students to answer this question: can learning a new language incorporate?
They think it can be frustrating at times.
Good here. The rules are good. Everything's good.
Things are good here at Finneytown, and as the conversations among students continued, the reasons why things are good here started to show.
Our parents went to Bhutan for I don't know why, and then we got kicked out from there. Like, we didn't actually got kicked out, but they sent us from a bus to Nepal.
Yeah.
And Nepal even didn't accept us as their thing, I guess.
Well, we accept you. Students accepting one another for who they are and where they're from isn't the only thing that makes Finneytown great. Ella Beverly, a senior student, and Joelle Ortiz, a junior, shared that another reason is the way the staff welcomes and supports all students.
Going into high school, talk with your counselors, talk with your teachers. Everybody here is so welcoming and warm. They will make space for you. They will make sure that no student gets left behind.
Yeah, they will make you the #1 priority.
Mm-hmm.
All right, friends, we're about at the end of our time together. So to wrap up, I would love for in your groups to talk about something that you either appreciated or an aha that today helped you understand a little better, and share with each other.
Some people like to talk, like me. but he did not talk that much. He just listened to me. I like that person who listened to me.
When the class was over, I kept thinking about Siraj's appreciation for Adrian. It reminded me that listening is a superpower. Miss Henline's students walked into the Global Cafe to explore the concept of language fluency, but I believe they all left with a greater sense of connection to their classmates and an understanding of how Finneytown's diversity truly is a strength. Sometimes all it takes is a good question and the superpower of listening.
Acceptance and a feeling of belonging and a tighter knit community. Because when people sit down and talk and listen to one another, rather than being talked at, there's connections that form, and people start looking out for one another. And so that's been the approach I've taken this year with my role, and I'm looking forward to continuing the podcast with Mike. We had Maggie and April Bruder in this morning to record a podcast about FMPA and athletics boosters, and that partnership that we could bring together and play well together. And then yeah, met with the house system. We've had a bunch of episodes. I don't know if you had the chance to listen to all of them, but there's some good conversations happening. And the more we talk, I think the more we can make the changes to make Finneytown the greatest place in the world. Not that it already is.
That'd be greater risk is the goal for first.
Back to English training. Greater risk? Yeah. Did I say it?
No.
Thanks, Eric and Grant. I appreciate it. Excited to listen to next week's podcast.
Drops Monday.
Yeah. So a couple additional things. We have to file or post our annual bullying report. We do that in the summer each year. I have a copy for each of you here. This will be posted to the website. We have a link on our website to report anonymously any concerns around bullying. We had 0 reported each semester. It is something that we send out in our community update and annually as part of a notice for people how to access that. And then in terms of other updates around the district, we are still hiring. Our teams are hard at work, bringing on new staff members, screening, continues. So excited about that. We do have some professional learning going on this summer around responsive classroom and restorative practices. We will be onboarding our new APs. They will be attending a training session in Eastern Michigan. We also, as part of some reassignments, Lauren Henline will be moving, who we heard on the podcast. She will be our restorative practice facilitator at the elementary next year. And so she, along with Tammy Dietz, are going, and which is on the agenda on the superintendent's consent calendar, we'll be going to Indianapolis to get trained on responsive classroom. And so that's at the end of this month. And so we're excited about that for them. And then additional things going on in district office include meetings still for Finneytown Elementary. A quick update on that. We met last Tuesday. Furniture is being delivered. We have Meredith has her furniture in her office. There are a few things we're still waiting on back order, including the generator and the monument sign. We did ask for a quote for bleachers. Bleachers will likely not occur till December, just FYI. So there are some things we're still waiting on, but we're making a lot of progress. They've been doing the punch lists, going through and looking at each room. And so it's coming along.
The generator was known, right? That there was going to be.
Yes, we knew it was. Okay. We're hoping in July. That's the plan.
But there can't be, what's restricted until you have a generator?
Well, we'll have a backup, so no matter what, we should be good to start school on if there were some reason. So one of the things Scansky said, hopefully we won't have any bad weather. That would maybe cause our generator to end up somewhere else because of, like, if there's a hurricane and other places need generators and things like that, they can become more scarce. So, but I think we're on schedule, right, Tim? That's what we take away. Okay.
Today, they told me they're halfway through the punch list.
Oh, good. And by halfway, there were like 600 items, so.
Quick question on the bullying report.
Yeah.
So the data for the fiscal 21-22 school year, which is this year, the data at the bottom is the year before.
Oh, I'll update that. Thank you.
So that is actually this year's data?
Yes, it is.
Okay.
I used the same language. Thank you. And that is, let me just switch one other thing. There's the website, and the rest is stuff with that'll come up in board coordination matters.
Any other questions? And just real quick, what are all the reporting possible methods? So, harassment in the. This is just report to Public School Works. Is this the toll-free number, or how I think report to Public School Works?
So there is a link on our website. If you go and search bullying,
Right.
which is a requirement, there's a link where they can email it, and there's also a hotline number.
Okay.
So, and then that all gets reported through Public School Works,
Gotcha.
and we get notification.
And what if somebody reports it instead to the teacher or any staff member?
Then the teacher or staff member would go to the building administrator, and then the building administrator would determine whether or not we need to bring any compliance officers in at that point, based
And-
on the report.
And then at that point in time, if we're to go into Public School Works, is this only things that go through somebody finds it through the website?
This reporting feature is only people who use that hotline.
Okay.
Yeah.
Gotcha. Hey, anything else? Board coordination matters. Would you like to start, Talicia?
Sure, why not? All right, I just want to give a special shout out to Mr. Richmond and Mr. Delaney for submitting auditions videos for the OSBA conference. And we didn't get selected. However, a couple of students at Brent did like a little quartet with their flutes. I mean, they're not flutes, they're recorders, and we were selected for a different showcase. So they will be performing in November for that. My son is super excited. He keeps saying, I'm going to Columbus. So definitely excited about that. Also, OhioMeansJobs.com is conducting a survey for educators, K through 12. They want the opinions for the website to make sure it's flowing. So the deadline for that is July 29th. So if you want to relay that to your staff, I send the email to Laurie. She'll be getting that out to the teachers. They're also looking for districts to nominate innovative programs at the conference. So I know you presented tonight with the program that you guys have currently going on, which would be a good opportunity to definitely showcase our talents here at Finneytown. And also I want to give a special shout out to Grant Anderson, Maggie Laird, and Wiz Kids for receiving the Friend of Children awards this year. So all I got. Congratulations for that. That's it. I'm good.
Okay. I'll go ahead and go mildly brief. From a Who concert excitement, we did not have a foundation meeting last month. It would have been if it was the day after, whatever, so it did not happen. I started into the I think half of the township meeting nights live, we've had special meetings. We just seem to love Tuesdays at 5:30 for our special meetings. So they do record them. The last one was 7 minutes. This one I'm partway into 40 minutes to start off recognition of a longtime firefighter. I've not gotten through the whole thing. So maybe I'll be there live next time. No, I think I'll be in Indiana. Anyway, I'll make that. Well, you'll get so much information in the township, you will not do with it. That's a guarantee. Okay, I am done.
All right. Long range facility planning has not met. We don't have any meetings. We are waiting on the update on funding that I know we all know here, but we'll say it again. We don't have an update yet.
I emailed Joe today.
Thank you.
But the governor signed it.
He
Governor
signed the
signed it last
budget.
Monday.
Yes, or the
The bill.
appropriations bill thing. Yeah, so that'll start up when we have information. FMPA meets tomorrow, so I will be there for that. OSBA, their May meeting primarily discussed school lunch funding. As most people know, the funding that they made that was special for COVID timing, it expires either your last day of school, which for us is passed, or June 30th, whichever one comes first. So next year, we're back to our normal school lunch meal planning. They really stressed making sure that we have very clear expectations communicated with parents who may not remember that or may think that we are doing something ourselves. Be ready, you're gonna have to pay for lunch again. However, we do have the applications for the free and reduced meal plan that we highly encourage everyone to fill out. The June meeting is coming up next week. I will either attend it live or it's virtual, so I'll watch the recording later or attend live. If anyone wants to attend Board 101, who missed it in the winter, it is going on in Columbus on July 30th. And then there's a Northwest Southwest region open house on August 7th. It's in Salina, Ohio. And then this one I am particularly interested in. There's a webinar on August 10th called Accelerating Student Success Through Board Policy. I'm curious to see what they have to say. So that's all from OSBA. We also have our board retreat coming up July 9th all day and then half the day on July 10th. It will be here in the media center. Please note if you are attending, I did send a minor tweak on the schedule, same hours, just different topic change. Yeah, there's that. And then finally, I talked today with Lori and Tim. We had a really great meeting on school safety. We want to have a good conversation as a board with our administrators, with our leadership teams, really checking that we have a good plan in place for school safety. We all unfortunately know what happened in Texas, and it was very devastating. And we want to make sure we don't have anything happen here. We want to be proactive about it. I'm very pleased with what we have in place. I have really high expectations for what Tim showed me today. It looks great. Just, we have a few things to tweak. So we talked about getting together, having an executive session probably in August to really go over that a little bit more extensively. We also have a meeting on Monday between Tony and I and Lori and Neola to review our policies just to make sure that they're up to top notch as well. So we're doing everything we can and we'll continue to do so as long as we can. And I think that's everything I have.
So on that, I actually got a follow-up for Lori. So the free and reduced lunch process, a lot of funding was tied to that. I know we've been back and forth on paper and electronic with Milford. And then that was all kind of suspended with COVID. Where does all that stand with?
Right now, everything's part of final forms.
Okay.
So that form is part of final forms.
Okay.
And then if they have questions, they can reach out. Kathy McNair, our district social worker, has helped many families complete the form because it is not an easy form.
Right.
And so we do have supports in place if families need it to complete it.
And I think one of the advantages of final forms, we have multiple children, it carries information forward between the forms. If that form does that.
I don't believe that's true for any form.
Really?
I think it carries it from year to year. Like you
Okay.
can update it, but you have to
Right.
resubmit it and sign it off.
Yeah. from year to year.
Yeah.
I remember Dawn saying.
Yeah.
Doing things 7 times every year was no problem. So, but even just carried over year to year is a big
That's
problem.
why you fill one out, make copies, and then put the student specific information on. What's fine.
Okay, gonna FAA and boosters, gonna try and lump them. I was able to go to the FAA meeting, lots of great work being done by that organization. Participated, my son was a soccer player, had a great year. Both boys played baseball, tons and tons of hot nights, but what everybody's doing there is fantastic. the boosters changed their meeting and they were cleaning out the concession stands, and then they were going to the Turtle. And when they changed the date, I couldn't make it, and I was really disappointed because I couldn't go to the meeting at the Turtle. But in talking to people, it's the same issues. If we can get people to help volunteer for these organizations, they do great work. They do so much for the kids. Then I think all of the groups would be tremendously served, and the parents that do all of the work would be very grateful for the help. But Greek festival's coming up, so the boosters are happy that they're going to get their parking revenue this year to help with their group. So that was the two organizations. Third thing, really quickly, we're going to talk about this shortly. The governor signed a bill allowing school boards to determine whether teachers can be armed in classrooms, and we're going to talk about that shortly. So just that was the legal liaison aspect of my role.
All right. Last. So I attended graduation with Lindsay and Jalicia on the 26th of May. I was happy to be able to attend and support our graduates. Would like to give a shout out to all of our administrators and other staff members who were part of putting that on. It was very hot, but it was great. I'd also like to give a shout out to the live stream team, because I had family in Arizona that was able to watch it and who would not have been able to watch it live otherwise. So it was really great. I actually found that the live stream was crisper than my vision was in person due to the heat. So thank you to our live stream team. I also attended the Staff Appreciation Day, which was put on by Lori. So I was glad to see many of my former teachers and some new faces that I hadn't met previously. It's great to see that we have teachers that are staying in our district for upwards of 20 years. Also, as Lindsay mentioned, the FMPA has not met this month, but they will be meeting tomorrow evening, and Lindsay plans to attend that. Last that I spoke with Lindsay. And then also the Long Range Facility Planning Committee has not met either. So just to reiterate what Lindsay said about waiting on our funding. And that's all I have.
Okay. Any questions about anything for me?
I wish I could have been at graduation, but I had COVID, so that's why I wasn't there.
Yeah, we wish that you guys could have been there too.
I told them congratulations for you.
I know why I wasn't there.
COVID.
Oh, it was COVID me too.
You didn't have it.
You had a
Oh,
close
yeah.
door.
Yeah, it was going through the house. I got it in December. So I did when it was cool. Temperature wise, it's never cool to have COVID. Let that be misinterpreted. Okay. We have a motion to go through financial matters, the adoption of the consent calendar.
So moved.
Mr. Oliver, would take us through this, please.
Okay, the first time monthly financial report, if you refer to that document. In the month of May, we had total revenue of $425,395. For the month of May, fiscal year to date, $19,316,000 even. And that's pretty nice. Work hard for that next. Total expenditures for the month of May, $1,325,285, and fiscal year to date, $19,421,943. Cash balance at the end of May in the general fund, $13,238,865. Item B, depository investment balances as of May 31st, 2022. A U.S. bank account, we had $453,900. Star Ohio, $17,808,965. Our U.S. Bank construction account month-end balance, $4,884,991, and our Star Ohio construction fund account, $3,803,731. Item C, interest earned on our depository investment accounts for May. General fund, $11,312.84. Construction fund, $15,116.51. The monthly project spending commitment report for our bond issue is it's also in the back of the other reports. So far, we've expended, and I'm looking at table 1, $19,748,000 approximately. We saw commitments of about $4.6 million and an uncommitted balance of a little over $4 million. I will mention that we've had some problems with our new accounting system, and we keep paying construction management bills, but it doesn't remove all the encumbrance. And so the encumbrances are overstated by over $200,000, which is a good thing. So anyway, I guess you could say we're on target with that project, maybe a little bit over in spending. But you know, it's things that really are a result of the pandemic, the supply chain issues. And so I think really we've done a great job to be in the ballpark like we are. So I think it's you know, good news to report there. Item E is a recommendation to approve a couple of payments as listed here. A couple of them are associated with equipment for our new elementary. Item F is recommendation to approve the 5-year forecast. I met with the finance committee last week to review the forecast. It has been uploaded to the state of Ohio. If anybody wants to look at it, that's where you can find it. It is online. Of course, we have copies in our district. If anybody wants to see one. What I can tell you about the 5-year forecast is that our ending cash balances continue to be positive for the entire 5-year period, which is very good. Our operating deficits are accelerating, and you can notice that in the last couple of years of the forecast, year 4 and year 5, a bit concerning. Really, what you see is a very small growth in revenue, but that's pretty much to be expected unless we've got operating levies that we're collecting local money with, or we're getting more money from the state. We're not going to see growth. The state money is not growing because our enrollment is down. Now there is a phase in of this new fair school funding program next year, and so you know, conceivably that should generate more money for us. Only problem is we're on a guarantee right now, and so we have to be lifted off that guarantee. Our guarantee last year was $200,000, and so you know, that's a little bit of a ways to go. But you know, we'll see if we do lift off that guarantee. Certainly, we would hope that. And as far as future years, you know, again, we hope that you know, that plan will continue to be funded at increasing levels, and you know, help us out in that way. As far as the expenditure trend, if you look at that, it's a little bit discouraging. You know, what I see is high single growth in expenditures, single digit growth. A lot of that's inflation. I build in higher inflation. At least I've got 5% in there in a lot of areas, which is less than inflation right now. Inflation, I think, kicked in at what, 8.5% for the month of May. That's a month that I'm aware of a report on. So that's going to be a real challenge for us going forward. And I think that you know, it can help us get stronger, better. You know, I think the challenges always do, and so that's the way I think we have to look at this. We've got to get through this. The last 3 pages of the 5-year forecast, I show what are, I think, the most important metrics: our tax base, our student enrollment, and our staffing. And so we have to make all those things work together. And one of the things that I've always encouraged is for us to live within our means. I think that that's still very possible going forward, at least the next several years. But it won't happen by itself. We'll have to work hard at that. And so we'll be putting together our appropriations and our budget over the summer for next year. And you know, it'll be telling where these budgets going to come in at. So we'll be meeting with the finance committee again over the summer just to talk that through as we get that information. This forecast does reflect our 3-year negotiated agreements with the classified and certified staff, so that's a part of that. We were able to give 3% raises in the second and third year, 2 3/4 in the first year, which are pretty decent raises. Fortunately, had a cash balance to be able to do that for our staff. It may get more difficult into the future to be able to do that, but at least we were able to do that for the time being. I would say too that, a thing that we want to look at is ESSER funding. ESSER funding will be phasing out over the next several years, and we just need to make sure that it doesn't create a fiscal cliff for us. That we're able to use that money in such ways that we don't create dependency, and we're able to have lasting impact. So, that certainly will be a little bit of a challenge for us. And for every school district to receive the kind of funds that we've all received. So be working on that. Are there any questions on the 5-year forecast?
You have on here the Ed Choice tuition voucher qualification as a threat. We're safe for 22-23.
We are, yes. So
what's the threat like after that? Is that?
Well, I certainly think that it's it's a risk, and it's a very bad risk. So that's something that I think we need to be thinking about all the time. I think that I think it would be better that all of us spent some time talking about it, trying to understand what it is. There are a couple of components. One of those items is your achievement performance and how you stack up against other public school districts. The other one is your Title I percentage. And Title I percentage has been saving us the last couple of years. And I don't know if that could change with free and reduced lunch coming back. That could sway these numbers. I don't know if any of us are experts on that, how that's calculated, but I certainly think that we need to try to understand that better and realize that it's great.
So
I'm glad you asked about that.
So is the higher the percentage free and reduced lunch?
The higher the percentage, the greater the risk. That helps throw you into Ed Choice. Yes.
So I believe, and I don't understand all of it. I haven't had time to really look into it, but I believe OSBA's the April meeting talked a lot about, or no, the Black Caucus one. I think there's lawsuits out there against it, but I don't know what has happened. I think it's a class action lawsuit with multiple schools on it. But I don't know where that's moved or if it's going to have any kind of impact at some point. But.
Thanks. That's it's good to know people are.
There are schools who
Still,
are very
yeah.
much fighting it. They have seen significant problems.
It's also been moving legislatively for quite a while. Do you know what the latest on that is, James?
I don't know. I'll look at it.
Okay, the next item is a recommendation for the board to approve adjustments to the amended official certificate of estimated resources through June 30th, meet statutory requirements. And so I'm asking you to allow me to do that as we move towards the end of this month. And then H is similar, to make permanent appropriation adjustments through June 30th, meet statutory requirements. Item that word. Excuse me. Item I is a recommendation to approve advances back from the general fund. That says auxiliary service, but that is actually special ed. So I apologize for that. That is the special ed fund, the IDEA fund. And then item J is a recommendation to allow me to adjust revenue and expenditure accounts to what was spent in terms of the budget and actual equating those. That's standard. I do that every year. Item K is a recommendation to approve temporary resolution appropriations measure for next year, and this would cover the first quarter of next year, and we will follow it up with the permanent appropriations in September. And that would complete item 9.1. Are there any questions about any of those items?
Just minor, is it common to buy football helmets? Or do we not have boosters that help out with that, or?
I'm pretty sure we buy our own helmets. We buy them, we recondition them. That's one of our greatest expenses.
Okay.
I know that football helmets last year, they could not even get them. And so I think he's just happy to be able to actually be able to buy helmets because we try to rotate those. Cause you can't, it's like buses, you can't afford to pay them all.
I
at once.
play high school football. Yeah. Looking at the price of them now, it's like.
Yeah, they're expensive. I know that Mr. Warmack does get funds from them that probably are used to help offset these costs. But we buy them ourselves directly.
We have a roll call vote. So very.
Yes, Mr. Ray,
Yes.
Mr. Reed,
Yes.
Mr. Gast,
Yes.
Ms. Lee,
Yes.
Ms. McMullen.
Yes.
Okay, may I have a motion for item 9.2, resolution requesting the county auditor to make advanced payments of taxes pursuant to Ohio Revised Code.
I'll motion.
Second.
Okay, again, this is a standard item I bring. What this allows us to do is speed up the cash flow on this revenue. Were we not to ask for advances, they would wait until the settlement. And particularly now with interest rates going up, we want to be able to get this money invested. So that's the point of this item.
Okay, questions? Roll call vote, please.
Mr. Reed,
Yes.
Mr. Gast,
Yes.
Ms. Lee,
Yes.
Ms. McMullen,
Yes.
Mr. Ray.
Yes.
Motion passes. Now for motion for item 10.1, adoption of the consent calendar. The superintendent.
So moved.
Second. Okay, Laura, we take us through your consent calendar here. Highlights or whatever.
Yeah, I'll do highlights. So some of the key pieces on here I wanted to point out are item 11L, I'll be okay. Adoption of the resolution for our assistant principal. We did this for our assistant principal last month, Jessica Martin, which is on the agenda this month for employment. This is for Chad also for his licensure, just a resolution that we put in. Resolution M is our it's an annual resolution to be a part of the Ohio Athletic Association. And then item N is for career and technical waiver for 7th and 8th grade. We do this annually. We do have career tech programs for our 8th grade students, not our 7th grade students. And so we are required to submit this resolution to the state annually. So that will be done by June 30th after the board approves it today. Other items, obviously, I want to take a special shout out for our donation. Oh, let's do our first, the out of state, which I mentioned in my administrative update. That's just for board approval since it's out of state. Any professional learning that occurs out of state requires board action. So Indianapolis, they are heading. Item S is the acceptance of our donations. This month we received $1,000 in Kroger cards for Finneytown Local School District for our social work fund from Faith Lutheran Church. And we received 2 flutes valued at $100 each from Kay. And then a $350 cash donation for participation in the Reds Fund at that program to Whitaker Elementary phys ed program. So I think we should. Those are the highlights. If there's any questions.
There's the request for proposals for demolition of Whitaker there. Item H.
Oh, did I miss that? Yeah.
It's
What
on there.
kind?
It's on there. You didn't miss it. It's on there. You shouldn't.
Okay.
It just wasn't a highlight.
Yeah, well, that should have been a highlight. Sorry about that one. Yeah. So that is a request for the board to approve that, and that would be something we would look to do this winter. The playgrounds.
The kids will be disappointed. They like the playground. They want that thing to move to the new school.
Okay. Any other questions, discussion? Okay, Mr. Oliver, may I have a roll call vote, please?
Mr. Gast,
Yes.
Ms. Lee,
Yes.
Ms. McMullen,
Yes.
Mr. Ray,
Yes.
Mr. Reed,
Yes.
Okay, item 10.2.
I would like to move to separate these into 7 individual votes, please.
I will second.
I would like to do the vote on that, James.
Like, it's a roll call, right? Is that?
Yeah, I'll do it.
Is it correct? Okay.
Ms. Lee,
Yes.
Ms. McMullen,
Yes.
Mr. Ray,
Yes.
Mr. Reed,
No.
Mr. Gast,
No. Motion passes. So will this be, would you do this as 10.2 through 10.8 or something like that? Or,
And this is
A
just a
through G?
motion to
A.
split up. the-
oh, you want to do A through G under 10.2, whatever makes sense.
Okay, can I go back on that? I'm gonna vote no on that.
vote no. Did you announce the result, Tony? Did he? I don't know. if it goes-
Tony already announced the results. Yes. Tony declared it passed.
Yeah, okay, so I think once it's clear, yes, I don't know if I can change that.
So so
If
you want
it's still proceed, it's not gonna change the vote. at all.
to go with, so. All right, so we're gonna vote on each individual.
That's fine.
Okay. So I'll just read these off and just go A through G then one at a time, or roll call vote then, or have.
So. I guess someone will need to make a motion in a second on each one of these. So they're separate items.
Okay.
All right,
Wait, so motion in a second and then there's a vote. Is that correct?
Right.
Vote on this. Just.
yes.
Okay.
Okay, so I have a motion for 10.2 A,
So move.
second. Roll call vote, please.
Ms. McMullen,
Yes.
Mr. Ray,
Yes.
Mr. Reed,
Yes.
Mr. Gast,
Yes.
Ms. Lee,
Yes.
Motion passes. Okay, now we have a motion for 10.2 B for agenda item.
So move.
Second. We have a roll call vote, please.
Mr. Ray,
Yes.
Mr. Reed,
Yes.
Mr. Gast,
Yes,
Ms. Lee,
Yes.
Ms. McMullen,
Yes.
motion passes. 10.2 C in the eruption.
So move.
Second.
Okay, roll call vote, please.
Mr. Reed,
Yes.
Mr. Gast,
Yes,
Ms. Lee,
Yes.
Ms. McMullen,
Yes.
Mr. Ray,
Yes.
motion passes. 10.2 D, Lisa Samuel. Roll call vote, please.
I need a motion.
Motion, sorry.
I'll move.
I'll second. And the roll call vote.
Mr. Gast,
Yes,
Ms. Lee,
Yes.
Ms. McMullen,
Yes.
Mr. Ray,
Yes.
Mr. Reed,
Yes.
motion passes. So,
E.
E. So it's not going to G then. Okay. very good. 10.2 E, Eric Muchmore, may I have a motion?
No, we skipped Carol.
So
We're
we
on-
skip Carol, okay, so we do get
Carol's
the G, okay, Carol's E. We're getting the G, just like we thought, now motion,
Move.
Second.
okay, roll call vote for E, Carol Mellon.
Ms. Lee,
Yes.
Ms. McMullen,
Yes.
Mr. Ray,
Yes.
Mr. Reed,
Yes.
Mr. Gast.
Yes, motion passes. 10.2 F, Eric Muchmore,
So moved.
second. Okay, roll call vote, please.
Ms. McMullen,
Yes.
Mr. Ray,
No.
Mr. Reed,
Yes.
Mr. Gast,
Yes,
Ms. Lee,
No.
motion passes. 10.2 G, Anton Walker,
So moved.
second. Lindsay. Roll call vote, please.
Mr. Ray,
Yes.
Mr. Reed,
Yes.
Mr. Gast,
Yes,
Ms. Lee,
Yes.
Ms. McMullen.
Yes.
item passes. Okay, item 11. Adoption of resolution, we have that motion.
I'll move.
I'll second. Would you like to read that?
I will read it. So this resolution opposing Ohio House Bill 99, whereas the Ohio General Assembly recently passed Ohio House Bill 99, which allows school districts to allow teachers with minimal training to carry firearms within schools. With permission from the Board of Education, the bill exempts teachers and school personnel from completing 700 hours of peace officer training that would otherwise be required to carry a gun. And whereas the bill was opposed by the Ohio Education Association and other teachers unions, and it was unsupported by police advocacy groups, including the Ohio Fraternal Order of Police. And whereas notwithstanding the lack of support and the increased risk to children and school personnel, Ohio Governor Mike DeWine has signed House Bill 99 into law. Now therefore be it resolved that the Board of Education affirms its opposition to House Bill 99 and similar school safety proposals that involve authorizing teachers or school personnel to carry firearms in schools. Be it further resolved, the Board of Education retains the discretion to determine whether to authorize school employees to carry firearms within the school district. The Ohio Revision Code 2923.122. Pursuant to Board Policy 1617, the Board of Education prohibits staff members from possessing, storing, making, or using a weapon, including a concealed weapon, in a school safety zone and any setting that is under the control and supervision of the board for the purpose of school activities approved and authorized by the board, including but not limited to property leased, owned, or contracted for by the board, a school-sponsored event, or any board-owned vehicle, except as permitted by law.
Thank you. Any discussion?
I think it's like, it speaks for itself. I am a huge opponent to guns in schools. I don't want a teacher to have to make a bad decision in a rash moment, especially with no qualification. I am also a huge proponent of prevention versus reaction. Guns in schools do not help prevent safety issues.
Mr. Oliverio, could you please let the record show that in line with current board policy 1617 regarding weapons, which reads in part, and I can give you a copy of this statement. The Board of Education prohibits staff members from possessing, storing, making, or using a weapon, including a concealed weapon in a school safety zone and any setting that is under control and supervision of the board for the purpose of school activities approved and authorized by the board, including but not limited to property leased, owned, or contracted for by the board, a school-sponsored event, or in a board-owned vehicle, except as permitted by law. So in regard to that board policy, I am against allowing teachers or other school employees to carry a gun in our schools here in Finneytown. In regard to this proposed resolution, I do not think that it is necessary for our board to make a political statement on this law, which has no effect on the safety of students attending our schools or our authority as a board if we take no action.
With all that being said, I would like our staff to know where we stand. And I think our staff needs to know that they have our support in this issue, and we will not, if this passes, we will not change where we stand, and we will support them and what they want and what their union wants.
And I'm in agreement with you on that, Mr. Ray.
So this isn't political for me. This is compassion. Because I don't think anything good could come out of a situation with an armed teacher. There's nothing. There's no positive, because if they have to use it, it's most likely against their student that they've known and loved. And the repercussions of that, just, I don't know how they would overcome it. So plus studies show it doesn't work.
You have anything you'd like to say?
I am just not okay with hardening our schools. Teachers have had to endure so much over the course of COVID. And I just think that it would hurt our schools. I am not okay with it.
Thank you. Yeah, as Mr. Ray said, regardless of what this changed or not, I did think it's important for the board to have a statement in reaction to this as it was passed. I took note that even Governor DeWine took time out to say he didn't think this was the solution. He signed the bill that said it wasn't the solution, but he wanted to have this local school. But yeah, I don't think this is the solution. The number of reasons you could give for that is so long. I'm not going to take any more time at 9:32 p.m. But okay, make a roll call vote, please, Mr. Alperry.
Mr. Gast,
Yes.
Ms. Lee,
Yes.
Ms. McMullen,
Yes.
Mr. Ray,
Yes.
Mr. Reed,
No.
Motion passes. Number 12, approval of administrative contract revisions for Lori Banks.
So moved.
Second. A roll call vote, please, Mr. Alberta.
Ms. Lee,
Yes.
Ms. McMullen,
Yes.
Mr. Ray,
Yes.
Mr. Reed,
Yes.
Mr. Gast,
Yes. Motion passes. Okay. I don't know that we had action steps out of the public board meeting.
I'm gonna look into that.
Oh, yeah, right. With
Uh,
the voucher,
yes.
actually, where that, I knew they.
where the legislation is.
Yeah, they made some changes that were somewhat paused by COVID, but I thought that had an expiration date on it. But they also had the whole seesaw back where they included a bunch of schools, including Indian Hill, if I recall correctly, and then they decided that wasn't good.
Right. I'll talk to Cedric.
Yeah, exactly.
Lori's gonna bug Joe.
Yeah, I emailed Joe today, but I will continue. And trust me, as soon as we find out, it will be sent out.
So, yeah, Joe is the person with the OFCC who will tell us if there's anything to tell us. He might be in an undisclosed location.
Yeah.
It's not out of state, so we
Probably
don't
not.
have to approve you driving up
No,
there.
Joe, all in state.
Okay. Okay, item 14, do I have a motion? Second, please.
Oh, no.
Well, up past
13.
13,
We did action steps. We didn't have any.
Yeah,
well, we did,
No.
Okay,
we had two, you.
myself and Lori.
there's nothing to vote on for that.
So is there, what would be the? Is it a discussion or approval?
Oh, it's discussion and approval.
Yes,
It's both.
yeah, so yeah,
All right.
there's a vote.
Yeah.
I'm assuming.
So
I
Bev
don't
and I did
know.
not know today.
what is the vote
All
on?
we have,
I have,
Someone will have to state.
I got it.
You got it?
I got it. I'm gonna
Yeah.
take it back. So when the board said that they were interested in having 2 meetings a month, I took it upon myself to draft a potential calendar. July, since we have our retreat, I did not add anything because
You
the.
have oh, give me a date, okay.
Do you want to give one to? Oh, no, I don't know how. I would get it, sorry.
I can take a picture.
Email it to him.
Okay.
It's all
Um,
right. Whenever you get it to me, thank you.
essentially what I did, July, we have the board retreat, so I did not add those dates on here. And we'll have our regular July meeting, which just so everybody knows.
Can I stop us for a second?
Yes, please.
So, to discuss this, because there's approval, I think someone needs
Oh, we
to.
skipped that part, didn't we?
Yeah, motion second.
I will move.
Okay, and
I'll second.
And what are we moving to approve the,
To,
These
yeah,
dates.
just an approved special meeting.
okay.
To discuss and approve.
So these like the
about our 22-23 school year. And what those plans are, and then we would do an executive session conversation around safety planning. The August 15th is our regular meeting. The 2 dates in September I would propose, and what I did, kind of my logic or thought process is the meeting would be anywhere from 2 weeks to 10 days before the regular meeting. That would give us an opportunity to ask questions, have some of that discussion. So when we come together for our regular meeting, we're prepared. We've already had some of that. So this September 7th, September 19th, October 11th, October 17th, November and December, I only had one due to the holidays and just different, all the musicals, all the other things that we have going on around the school and people's personal lives. So that's what I came up with. But I'm open to changes.
So I just went through the dates really quickly. Thursday, August 11th, Monday, the 15th, September 7th is a Wednesday, September 19th is a Monday, October 11th is a Tuesday, October 17th is a Monday, 21st is a Monday, December 19th is a Monday. I personally like the fact that the extra meeting isn't on a Monday. It may give other people an opportunity to come if they so choose, right? People that maybe can't make Mondays will be able to come to another night. I think it also may help, it'll help with my schedule, not, not being on the same night, but I appreciate that aspect of it as well.
I'd also like to point out for those who have not been a part of the conversation on it, this is mainly because we know that this meeting goes a long time. Hopefully we can have some of those discussions in preparation and not have to be here.
I want 2 3.5 hour meetings.
No,
we're not.
What's the proposed time for the meeting, for the special meetings, Lori?
That's a question for the board. I think due to, summer schedule versus regular schedule, we had talked about doing like a 7 a.m. meeting or a 6:30 a.m. meeting, or we talked about, in terms of schedule, we also talked about 5:30 for the special meeting. So, or 6 or 6, I'm here, so.
I think some of us said on a personal level that it's very difficult for doing mornings. I may not be at a job, but I have other responsibilities.
We have some mornings, I think,
So evening is what I would prefer myself.
So how early can you do it, Keith?
These dates are far enough out that I don't have anything on my calendar yet, so I will plan around.
Have to do 6 shifts for me
Okay.
once the school year started.
Yeah.
I'm easy, tell me when to be here.
It's like, it's a 6 p.m.
PM.
The earlier, the better for me. I do have a commitment most weeks on Thursdays. So I might have to miss some of the meetings.
I think there's only one
There's only
Thursday.
the one.
Oh, okay. I just saw that. I just looked at August 11th and saw it was on a Thursday. Okay. So I may have to miss that particular meeting, anything that's on a Thursday, but.
Is it possible, because the August 11th meeting is going to be pretty critical, I think, to have a conversation. I would.
Well, it depends on how long it goes. If it doesn't go over an hour.
It'll go over an hour, Eddie, let's be honest.
Okay. Yeah, and
That one has some, that's
then
where
I can work around my schedule, Lori. So that's.
Well, I'm just wondering if it's since before school starts, if maybe would that possibly be
For which day?
just the August 11th? Could that one be 5 o'clock or 5:30?
Even the
Yeah.
15th would work.
Yeah, Lori, I can attend that. Just as long as it's not every Thursday.
Yeah, right. Can we do even earlier?
I think if it's one day, I can make something work. If it's regularly, I
So-
can do it.
Let's do 5.
5, okay, great.
In general, the earlier the better for special meetings. I think that's to speak for Lori and Dave. But as long as everyone can attend after work, of course.
You have all that down, Dave. You have the 5 for August 11th, 6 for September 7th, and 6 for October 11th.
Thank you.
Thank you, Lori, for putting this together
Yeah.
ahead of time.
And part of the purpose is we want to have presentations for the regular board meetings, reserved things like that. Some of the activities really are kind of boilerplate and do those following the special meetings. And for the special meetings, the agenda cannot be adjusted at the day of the meeting. So that's another aspect of the special meetings. Okay. Any other discussion? Just need a vote, right? Roll call vote, please.
Ms. McMullen,
Yes.
Mr. Ray,
Yes.
Mr. Reed,
Yes.
Mr. Gask,
Yes.
Ms. Lee.
Yes.
Motion passes. Announcements, the Finneytown Board of Education will hold a special meeting at 5:30 PM on June 22nd in the Media Center at the Finneytown Secondary Campus, A916 Fountain Terrace, Cincinnati, Ohio 45231. In order to join the district leadership team and Springfield Township administrators in discussing the role of our school resource officer. The next regular meeting of the Finneytown Board of Education will take place on Monday, July 18th, 2022, at 6:30 PM in the Media Center at Finneytown Secondary Campus, A916 Fountain Terrace, Cincinnati, Ohio 45231. Open forum will begin at 6. May I have a motion for adjournment?
Seconded.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? And we are adjourned.